talking about? What's up, K-Sap? Yeah. James Ford, that's me. Let me talk to him. Let's get it.
Simply ball dropping, simply ball dropping. Chopping up these topics, man, I'm simply ball dropping. Driving coast to coast, making moves, ain't stopping. Driving coast to coast, making moves, ain't stopping. Nah.
Hey, let me put you on game. These other podcasts out here talking that shit, but ain't repping the same. This my bro K-Sap, chopping up topics for your optics. From politics to your top picks. Tune in, you gotta watch this. Exclusive material for your radio, stereo, pumping high definition. Stop what you doing and listen. We smashing all competition. You better jump on this wave. Somebody pass me a mic, man, I got something to say.
And now, your host of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast, the man behind the mic, K-Sap.
Yo, welcome to another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. In today's episode, we're going to focus on the NBA recap. And today, I got my co-host riding with me. I got R&B in the building, and I got Mr. V in the building. So we're going to start it off. We're going to welcome my co-host back to the set, Mr. R&B.
Hey, Sam. R&B here. We're going to get it in today. We're going to get it in.
All right. Also, I got my second co-host riding shotgun with me, Mr. V. Welcome back to the set.
Good to be here, K-Sap. Shout out R&B. Shout out Simply Ball Dropper listeners.
All right, guys. We're going to get it kicked off. The NBA is in full swing. We're at the midseason, and we're going to do a recap on, a lot of things that took place, during NBA Sunday. So we had the NBA Sunday All-Star game, and just started off with you, Rob. What did you think about the NBA Sunday night festivities? Did you enjoy it?
K-Sap, when I was working my way up to the game, I was watching the Maryland Terps, and I was like, man, I don't know. NBA really ain't too exciting, these All-Star games. But I think with the format, the way that they did it, condensed everything into one day, I think it was really exciting. It was really exciting. I was kind of impressed because I wasn't planning on watching it.
You wasn't planning on watching it?
Nah.
Okay. To me, it was. I don't think it was that exciting, but it was good to see. Something a lot of players they didn't want to.
Come on now, K-Sap. Look, starting from the skills game, the skills competition, and then leading into the 3-point contest, and then leading into the game. Come on now.
Yeah, it was nice to see, but at the same time, it's something that the NBA had to put on. A lot of guys, they really didn't want to participate, but they made it worth the while, and they gave the people what they wanted. So it was kind of exciting. So, Mr. V, on your end, man, what did you think?
I enjoyed it because I like all things basketball, especially the NBA All-Star Weekend, even though it was cut short. So I miss some of the normal activities that they have on Friday nights with celebrities and all that. And then the rookie game, and the stuff that they do on Saturdays. Then with the real show, the All-Star game on Sunday. Condensed, it was still good, though. I enjoyed it, something to look at. It was an impressive show. Everybody that showed up did their thing on there. And, I like what they may do with under the circumstances of what they could do.
Hey, I agree with you. But the crazy thing that I saw in that All-Star game, we're gonna go back to the skills challenge. Steph Curry, his ability to, shoot the ball the way he shot the ball. And on that last rack when Conley had him and he needed that last, shot to go through. Curry, excellent shooter, man, great. He got in a rhythm. And when he got down to that last shot, I mean, it was something to see, man. So it was a great display of shooting by all the 3-point contestants because they put a lot of pressure on each other. But as you can see, man, Curry's running these racks off, man. And when he ran these racks off, man, when he got in that groove and he hit every Mountain Dew ball. And, you know, it's impressive because the way he shoots the ball, it's not just a catch and shoot. Man, sometimes, man, he can get it off the bounce. He can get it off the dribble. But as you can see, you know, Mike Conley was like, man, come on, stop. But at the same time, man, hey, he did an excellent display of shooting. And he deserved to win. And on that last shot, I think he knew it was going in, man, because just the way he just shot that thing. And they said he couldn't do it, but he got it in. So I guess, you know, that's my take on that. So what you guys feel on that?
So, I mean, that's kind of what I was saying, though, K-Sap, is the drama, the build-up, you know, from just watching the whole presentation and having, you know, big stars actually participating. I thought, you know, I gave the fans, you know, something that they would be proud of watching, not only live, but also on TV. Like I said, my mind wasn't on watching it, but once I started to see things flowing the way that they did, I was engaged. I mean, I pretty much didn't turn off the TV at that point.
Well, I mean, hey, I agree with you, man. But, you know, like you said, they came through. They made the best of a bad situation with not that many fans in there, but the way they had the mics turned up, it seemed like it was a lot of people in there. So, Mr. V, on that end of on Steph shooting, what did you see when Steph was shooting the ball?
I saw Steph Curry come out and win it like he was. A lot of people of his fans especially expect him to do. I wanted to see him win it this year because, you know, years past he'd been there and didn't come up with a trophy all times. What it looks like to me, and I want to know if you guys saw the same thing, it looked like in that second round, in that final round there, it appeared to me later on that he seemed like he kind of threw in the towel and just kind of shooting it up. I couldn't tell if that's just his normal Steph happy-go-lucky demeanor or if he's like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to win this because it seems like I'm behind. I have to make too many of these last ones in a row. So I'm just going to shoot it up and have fun. And when that last one went through, that 2-ball went through and he got it, you know, I maybe it's me reading into it, but I looked at him and looked like I could detect a little sigh of, I got it.
1V. You got it wrong. Steph came to win. Period. He came to win. Whether you know, look, maybe the shot wasn't dropping early, but trust me, he came to win. You know what I mean? I don't think Steph was faking it, you know, midway through it. I think he was just trying to find that groove. Steph's that same guy that they said made like 105 straight. So yeah, he knows he's got that gear. He just had to find it.
Well, what I'm coming from is because Steph is such a great shooter, because he did make that 105, I think the expectations he had on himself based on what the fans' expectations were, he felt he had to come out and pretty much run the table. So when he started missing in that final round, when he started missing early on or midway through, that's when I looked at him and trying to detect, and maybe I read into it, okay, is he shooting and thinking, hey, I'm in a hole now? It might be like years past where I'm close and just don't win it, even though the world expects me to be the best shooter. Or, you know, maybe it was that, you know, that's just the normal look that Steph has, and he knew all along, hey, I'm going to give it everything I got and probably going to come out on top.
Yeah, that was an excellent display. And, you know, I understand where both of you guys are coming from, but I just like the pressure that the other contestants put on Steph Curry and brought the best out of him, you know, because Mike Conley, he shot the ball well. And, you know, that pressure on Steph coming into that last round, and Steph prevailed, man. And, you know, kudos to Steph, man. Like I said, he's probably one of the greatest shooters we ever seen. But, you know, moving on from the 3-point contest, I mean.
Hey, Sap, I got a real question real quick.
Go ahead.
Is there anybody that you think should have been there for the 3-point contest?
Not the contestants that they had in there.
I thought they got what they needed.
They was legit.
Okay.
They was legit. I don't think nobody was missing besides, you know, Klay Thompson, but Klay Thompson couldn't participate because he's injured. And
yeah, gotcha.
The only person that probably, you know, I could see that could be in it. But other than that, I think they had the contestants right.
Cool. All right.
Because they shot the ball real well. All of them shot real well.
Yeah.
And they put up numbers that, we ain't seen in a long time since Craig Hodges and Larry Bird. So, right. So, man, they was dropping that 3 ball. So, moving on from the 3-point contest, also we had the dunk contest. The skills contest, that came down. The skills contest is becoming a big man sport now. The big men are winning the skills contest. But we're going to get off into the dunk contest. I mean, a lot of people was saying the judges was tripping on some of the scores. So break it off. This first dunk right here. What do y'all think about this first dunk right here? Cassius Stanley's, man. I mean, this was a great dunk, man, but he should have got more than what he got because he set the tone and he started it early and, got the little crowd hype, but, they just didn't give him the score that he needed on that. So, Mr. V, on that dunk, what do you give him on that dunk?
See, it's hard to say now after watching it and knowing, the outcome. I thought that first dunk was spectacular. Now, being a judge sitting up there, do you give the first dunk a 10? Do you rate each dunk on it by itself and not? That was, it was undervalued from the judges on that.
But my thing about it is, he set the tone. You come out there, you don't really get a chance to warm up. And off that first dunk, the bounce that he displayed and the power and the effortless attempt, I mean, I think that score should have got a little bit higher.
Okay, Sap, if I could add my input on this, I'm okay with not giving him a high score initially, okay? If 44 is the bar, then those other 2 dunks should be graded proportionally.
Yes.
I'm saying, okay, all right, so we're not going to jump out the gate and give out 50s. I'm cool with that. That's okay. But compared to the other dunks, that was a 44? Come on. That's what I'm saying. The grades were not in proportion for what the skills, demonstrated.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's where I had the biggest problem at, is that the scoring didn't reflect the difficulty of what just happened.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because the dunk should have warranted a higher score than what it got.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt.
Then you go to the next contestant, Obi Toppin. Now, his dunk, he set the tone. I mean, and, this dunk, if it wasn't for Zach LaVine that did this a week earlier in the layup line, this dunk would have been warranted a 50. Because, like Kenny Smith pointed out, Kenny Smith saw it before. The judges in them, they probably didn't see it. That's why they gave him 47, 48. But at the same time, compared to that dunk, compared to Cassius Stanley's dunk, like you said, the ramifications of the score, I don't know. So, I mean, it's hard to tell, but, the judges were a little biased on this. But that dunk by Obi Toppin, man, that was a great dunk, man. So, I just don't know.
Here was the thing, though, K-Sap. The naked eye, the very first time that we watched it, we didn't see really what he did.
Exactly.
You didn't really see what he did until they slowed it down. I mean, and then once you slowed it down, you looked at it and was like, oh, okay. But when the first time when I saw it, I thought he bounced it, caught it, and then dunked it. I didn't see that it went through his legs and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he did. He in the dunk contest, it does take for them to slow it down to see exactly what they have done. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't see it on the first initial. But I thought it was a great dunk. Mr. V, what did you think about it?
Same thing, K-Sap. Same thing you said. Zach LaVine did that in the warm-ups. So we had seen it before, and with social media and how things are broadcast all over right away, you're kind of spoiled, like, oh, okay, that's that dunk that kind of like Zach LaVine did. I agree. It did take a second in the reviews to actually see all the nuances of what he actually did, because when he did it so quickly. You had to take a minute, like, hey, okay, what did he do there? and then you see the replays and different angles. That's where you really start to appreciate it. Again, I thought the judges were being a little conservative with, with their scoring on that. And I go back to, if the guy deserves a 10, kind of like I said before, give him the 10. Don't worry about what you've seen before. Don't worry about what you expect someone else to do or think he's going to do later. Evaluate each dunk on its merits by itself and let it stand that way.
Mm-hmm. Question. So those first two dunks, how do you rate them as far as score? You had a 44, and then what was the other one? A 48?
I think it was 48.
Okay, so is that in the right proportion?
No, I think the first dunk with Cassius Stanley should at least got a 47, 48. He should have been up there Obi Toppin dunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he did it with left hand and did it with power. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I know everybody does the between the legs dunk, but at the same time, for a guy that hasn't had a dunk in an NBA game yet, and he's a G League affiliate, and he comes into the NBA dunk contest and he sets the tone like that, I mean 47, 48 is a viable number that he should have received.
Okay.
And then, I go look at this dunk right here. You look at this dunk right here with my man out of Portland. You know what I'm saying? Now, he got bounced. The first dunk he did, he took it off the 12-foot goal, but to pay homage to Tracy McGrady and the way he got up, and the score that they gave him, I think they gave him 49. So
he got I thought it was 46, or was it? It was 46.
46?
Yeah.
So what do you think this dunk warranted? Like they said, he didn't scratch his ankles like Tracy McGrady did, but Mr. V, he got up there. So on that stint, what would you rate this one?
That's a tough one because I'm looking at the other, two dunks, and with him, I know what he did later on in the dunk contest, and that fella's got bounce. He jumps out the gym. Jumps out the gym. But being that's a dunk we've seen before. Other players have done dunks like that. The flair that he added with that wasn't something that we hadn't seen before. So I'd say they were, based on the other scores they gave, I think that was kind of consistent with what they were giving out based on that dunk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you was a judge, R&B, on that particular dunk, how would you score it?
Right now, I got the score 48, 47, 47. And I'm going to give the first dunk the 48.
So you giving Cassius Stanley's a 48.
Yeah.
So overall, going into the final round, before they announced the final round, who did you have winning the dunk contest on points so far, if you was the judge?
The first dunk. I thought the first dunk. Yeah, I thought the first dunk was it for me from a creativity standpoint and just the difficulty. I thought that was probably the better of the two. Now, probably coming in a second place for me was the second dunk, then followed by the third dunk if I was going to rank them. But I would probably go in the order that they went, 1, 2, and 3 for me.
So what did you think about Anthony Simons when he put it up on the 12-foot mini goal, went up there and got it and dunked it?
Oh, that was nice. I like that.
Now,
you know what the funny thing was is, as I'm listening to the commentary after the fact, they were like, "Man, we wish he would have did something with it."
Yeah.
Are you serious?
You can't do that.
Just what is he supposed to do with that? Like, how's he supposed to go up and get that, and all of a sudden get it, then twirl around?
Yeah.
Come on, fellas. That's ridiculous. That the fact that he even got up there and got that. He didn't like drag it through. He got it
with two hands.
Off. Yeah, he pulled it off.
Yeah.
Then he dunked it.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is going up 12 feet off the vertical, right? Grabbing it with two hands and then putting it through the goal. That's impressive. And another thing, so Mr. V, who did you have the lead going into the final round?
Going in the final round, it was, to me, it was still close enough. I was still waiting for somebody to do something over the top to really put me over that edge. Because taking the merits of some of the dunks on that, still the first one, those first two, I thought, you know, they were underscored, which kind of set the tone for the rest of it. So I'd have probably had it the same way going into the final round.
But my thing is, Cassius Stanley's, after that first dunk, I think the lights got too bright for him because he aborted the mission on the second dunk.
Yeah.
Once he missed it, he went away from it and did a basic dunk, something that you could have done when you was in high school. Rob, you could have done when you was in high school. Me, myself.
I don't know about that for Rob.
I could get there. But here was the thing. K-Sap, I think he was discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was discouraged that he got to the point where it was like it didn't matter because they deflated him so much by the score with the first dunk that it was just like he was like it's not gonna do me any good. You know what I mean? And I think that's what hurt him a little bit because I think he should have stuck to the plan.
Yeah, he aborted the mission, man, and just went solo just to show that he could get off the ground by throwing a high bounce and catching a lob. Man, we used to do that every day, all day. So that was nothing spectacular. That was just basic. Mm-hmm. But I tell you one thing, this dunk right here by Obi Toppin, if he would have completed this dunk on the first go, he would have had a better score. Once he missed it on the first one, that scored the value. But right here, I mean, he showed great elevation just to windmill that thing, to go over him and his father. And, you know,
Stop.
I mean, that was a good dunk.
Stop.
You don't think that was a great dunk?
Hey, Sap, stop it. You know why I'm saying stop it?
Why is that?
Because he pushed off the shoulder of a prop. He pushed off.
I mean, that push off wasn't
he elevated it off of the prop. Give the man a trampoline then, K-Sap.
Oh, no, that down on the shoulder is not going to elevate him that much. It
made the difference. It made the difference. I've seen people clear people without even touching them, other than maybe, the undershorts, touching somebody's head as they're going through. But he elevated off of the prop. I can't give him that.
I mean, to me, it was a great dunk. I mean, he didn't.
Okay.
I mean, it was a good dunk. I mean, could you do it?
1V, come on.
Could you do it?
Side with you.
Look. I'll say this. To a certain extent, I agree with R&B with that. The dunks where I've seen where people jump over other people are most spectacular when they clear the other person or the other people clearly. When you can look and you can see that there's a gap in between, their crotch or whatever part of their body is going over top of that person, whether it's their head or shoulders or whatever. And because that goes to show not only are you clearing the person, but you're clearing them easily with enough to put a little extra on it at the end just to showcase, you really have hops like that to get over them. Not that you skimmed over them or barely got over them, or you'd have critics like R&B who would say, yeah, you kind of use them as a little prop to help get you up.
Yeah. Well, hey, we all agree to disagree. I mean, I thought it was still a spectacular dunk. I mean, it didn't get the score that people wanted to get because he missed it on the first go around, like Shaq said. When you missed it on the first time, the value goes down.
Yes.
But, the winner of the contest, Anthony Simon, this dunk right here, I mean, what do y'all think about this dunk right here? I mean, if he would have actually kissed it, he could have kissed the rim, but he didn't want to get that dental work. I mean, he was up there. I mean, that's impressive. Now, Rob, if you say that's not impressive, we gonna fight on live.
I mean,
look at that. He had to move his head out the way because the pressure going into it. I mean,
he was up there. I mean, okay. Let me ask you this, okay, Sal. Well, you saying that dunk right there was more impressive than the first dunk from Cassius?
No, I did not say that. I said
I'm asking you.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
No.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Okay.
saying.
So what score did he get on this dunk?
I think he got like a 48.
Okay, so and my man got 44 on his first dunk.
Okay, I understand that. So you telling me the 40, but Cassius Stanley's never advanced, you know, because like you said, he got discouraged and he didn't have nothing else in his arsenal. Because when you're that second dunk,
no, you're sitting there, you're talking about the significance of this dunk, and I'm sitting there like, okay, that's a 48. I mean, and you're saying the very first dunk was better than that one. It was okay. It was an okay dunk to me.
that's what I said. I said it was a great dunk. I mean, if he would have kissed the rim, it would have been special. That's what I said. But I guess, like the commentator said, he didn't want to get that dental work by putting his, teeth up on that rim. But at the same time, it was impressive for what we had to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, there was.
you didn't even take into consideration that he lost the ball as well, and he really just. I mean,
wait, who lost the ball?
He did when he caught the ball.
Yeah,
but he still was up in there the way he threw it. Look how high he was to have control when he lost the ball.
But I guess what I'm saying is there was flaws in the dunk case. Huh?
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, RB.
It's a 48. He got a 48. There was flaws in it.
Okay, flaws in the dunk, but what I'm saying, based on what we had left, we had to go with it, right? Unless you want Birdman out there attempting 20 times to make one dunk. I mean, we got to go with it.
Nah.
I mean, I think Anthony Simons, he played it safe because he knew what he was up against. So I think he played it safe. I don't think this dunk contest
Here's what I'm gonna give you. Here's what I'm gonna give you. We're gonna agree to disagree, just like you told us.
That's always. But it's perfect. But we'll move on from that.
Shout out! Hey, get yourself some of this Simply Ball dropping gear.
There you go.
Gotta get that. Get your own team logo.
So we're going to move on from that. We're going to go to this All-Star game. Now, this All-Star game, I know everybody got a different, feel, a different vibe from what they saw. So I'll start with you, R&B, from the All-Star game, from a standpoint. How would you rate that All-Star game?
I mean, I like the format. I really do. Because those guys, number one, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Okay, so that's first thing. Those guys are competing, but not to get hurt, which is, I mean, that's a touchy subject because as they go to the rim, guys got to have a commitment from other players that they're playing against. That I'm not going to try to really block your shot, try to hurt you in any manner. So, but the skill level with them guys, doing dunks, taking 3-point shots and everything like that. And they're playing for a charity. So that to me, those guys are trying to win something. You can say that they're not really engaged, but they're trying to win. And in the ending, the format, the end of the game, I like that because there's no time on the clock. First one to 70, 170, or whatever the number might be. And it kind of puts that pressure on you to either make a comeback or you're gonna win that money for your charity.
So as far as the game and the shooting, I'm just gonna do a little recap. What did you think about this display of shooting between Dame and Chef Curry? I mean, pulling up the way he pulling up, in the game. What's funny about that is I didn't really give guys credit, for making shots like that because I was just like when I see that during a game or something like that, I'm like, man, them guys is reckless. They just throwing the ball out.
Mm-mm.
But what I'm finding out, man, these guys can shoot. They can shoot that rock, and it's like there's no limit to their depth. Because next thing you know, they'll be shooting it on the other side of half court here pretty soon. Anything inside of half court, they can make it. Seriously.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And so on your point, Mr. V, man, when you see that kind of shooting, man, and for him and Steph to be shooting the way they shooting, I mean, What do you think? I mean, I'll show you some more clips of them shooting long distance shots, both of them. So, I mean, just let me know. I mean, at the end of the half, this was Steph turning around, the confidence to turn around in mid-flight when he shot the ball to make that shot, man. And Dame sitting over there is like, man, that's impressive. But Chris Webber was calling for it the whole game, and he did it in sync, and he made the shot.
Hey, KSAP and R&B, that display of shooting that they did, to me, that just shows how much on a different level they are, from us shooting out in the, on the courts back in the old days to others in college and in the NBA to you're seeing the best of the best out there. So that just shows me that they're on that much of a higher level than anyone else, and it's impressive to watch.
Man, it's very impressive, man. And my thing about it is, what's so impressive about it is the fact that both of these guys, you got to guard them now when they come across half court. And Dame Dollar said, he's implemented that into his game. When he comes across half court, he's not scared to shoot the ball. So I got one question for both of you guys. Out of Steph and Dame, the game is on the line. Who you want to have the ball to take that last shot? I'll start with you, R&B.
Who you got, Rob? Who you got?
I'm gonna eat my own words here.
Uh-oh.
Because y'all gonna say I'm reckless. I'm going with Dame time.
Oh, hey, I'm going with Dame too.
Oh, see, here y'all go. Here y'all go.
Hey,
look, hey,
here you go.
Dame. I'm going with Dame.
Dame has hit more games.
You know why I say Dame though? Because Dame to me is that gritty dude that he's not scared. You know what I'm saying? Now Steph might be the best pure shooter between the two, but Dame ain't afraid to take that shot.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I want. That's who I want taking the shot.
And he'll live with it because after the game, PG had to eat his words when he said, when he hit that walk-off on PG and waved by, PG said it was a reckless shot. Like we always used to think when Curry was shooting the ball, it was reckless. So now, PG has gave Dame his flowers and they squashed their beef. So they know that's a part of a shot that's in his game. But if you look at the numbers, Steph Curry coming down to the end, shooting that game winner, I think he's like 0 for 11 in the playoffs.
Hey, here's what I will say also. Steph has to have help getting that shot. And Dame can create that shot on his own.
All right,
Go ahead.
Grab at it.
Go ahead.
Now, if you're looking at end the game, last second, win the game stats, maybe so. But out of those two, who do you say is the better 3-point shooter?
And we're not talking about the better.
No. Just follow where I'm going.
He just won the contest.
No. Who out of those two players over the years?
He just won the contest.
Out of those two players over the years, who has been the better 3-point shooter?
That's Steph Curry, but that's not.
He just won the contest.
That's not the question. The question is, who do you want the ball in that? Who do you want the ball's hands in for that last shot? And I have to agree with R&B because of the fact that he said Dame, he's not scared to take that shot, right? Dame is going to shoot that ball. I want the ball in Dame's hand at the end of the game for my game winner.
Hey, shout out to Al Green. He says somebody's bugging. I don't know who he's talking about, but I'm just saying.
I was just talking about you and K-Sap with this. No disrespect to Dame. He's big time. We know that. But as I was saying, consistently, the best shooter out of the two has been Steph Curry. So if you're asking my opinion, I'm going with Steph.
Okay, let me break it down like this. He is the better three-point shooter, right? But that don't mean when the game is on the line, he's the best three-point shooter when the game is on the line.
You asked who I would pick. You asked who I would pick.
That's okay. That's who you're picking. But the reason why I picked Dame Time is because the numbers, I always say, women lie, men lie, stats don't. His stats back up all his game winners. When Steph is put in that situation for a game winner, he's a dud. It's just bottom line. Look at the stats.
Hey,
I can't call him a dud based on that because of everything he's done to help get his team there to put him in a position where he doesn't need to take a last-minute three-point shot. Besides, winning the three-point contest a couple times, having that percentage over the year, making huge shots, maybe not at the end of the game, but he's made huge shots throughout the game. And the fact that he has those rings, I got to go with tried and true.
Okay, that has nothing to do with the last shot.
That's who I'm giving the ball to, and that's the reasons why I'm giving him the ball out of those two.
And you're going to fail every time.
No.
Can I put it in a different context?
Go ahead.
Please do.
All right. Reggie Miller or Ray Allen?
Ray Allen.
I'm going with Reggie. Ray is a better pure shooter on Steph's level, but Reggie has the attitude of Dame.
Ray takes them big shots.
So hold on. Has the attitude of Dame. When we're talking about attitudes, I
need somebody confident to take that shot.
Well, hold on. Well, listen to this.
I could care less about a pure shooter.
Well, listen to this, R&B. So who is the player that we can attribute all these long-range three shots to? Is it Steph Curry or is it someone else? So when you talk about courage to shoot the ball, he was the person I remember back in the day that actually took those shots where people were saying, whoa, he's jacking it up, and then he made it a staple like, no, he just shoots from that far. So he paved the way, so to speak, for the Dame Lillards. And if I remember, Steph Curry's the one who used to shoot from that deep. Now Dame has stepped up and started shooting from that deep.
It's a different scenario when you're talking about a three-point shooter. Yes, he's the greatest three-point shooter and the greatest, three-point shot maker we have seen. But that's not the answer. The answer is at the end of the game, who do you want the ball hands in?
Okay. Okay.
Who's taking the shot? Me, K-Sap, or 1V?
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
taking the shot.
Absolutely right here. I guess it was a free throw.
But I can get to the cup like Brian. That's how we're going to break it down like that.
Same scenario with Dame and Steph Curry. You could say that about LeBron and KD. KD's a better shooter, but who do you want the ball in their hands at the end of the game? K-Sap, please tell me.
On what? Say this again?
The same comparison you used with Dame Lillard and Steph Curry about who do you want having the ball in their hands, taking that last shot between LeBron and KD. Who do you want taking that shot?
KD.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I need a drink on that.
See, it's a different ball. If you're talking about making a correct basketball play, I'm going with LeBron. If you're talking about taking that last shot, I'm going with KD.
Because that's where it's kind of like, and I don't even want. I'm scared to even open up this can. So when you talk about LeBron being the greatest of all time,
I didn't say
he's not.
Nobody said that. Nobody on the podcast said that.
But there is a popular consensus of people that believe that, and I'm saying to me, no, because he doesn't have that killer instinct of a Kobe or Mike. You know what I mean? And them guys did it under pressure and in the clutch. And I'm saying LeBron will make the right basketball play. And I don't want to say that in a negative connotation where he gets penalized, but
he gets penalized.
I mean,
R&B. I agree with you.
I want KD shooting the ball. Shooting the ball for me.
I agree with you 97% on your LeBron assessment, but I look at it like this. As we grow older and we watch these players, the comparison about who is the greatest, I don't have no more conversation for that, right? Because hands down, everybody knows Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game, right?
Another subject. That's another day.
But that's what I'm saying. So the comparisons when you said about, unfair just, that you don't want to say because he makes the correct basketball play. And sometimes you got to step back. What Mr. V said about KD and LeBron shooting the ball at the end. If I want somebody to shoot it, it's got to be KD. But if I want somebody that's making the right basketball play, I go with LeBron.
No, I was just personally justifying why I picked KD. Yeah. I'm saying, and that's not saying that I'm hating on LeBron. I'm just saying that I want somebody, I'm being consistent. I want somebody that's going to step up and take the shot. KD's going to do that for me. Exactly. Reggie Miller's going to do that for me. And Dame's going to do that for me. Those other three guys, they're basketball players. They're shooters. That's it.
And the one thing before Mr. B goes, this is one thing, with LeBron. Everybody always expects him to shoot that last shot. But if you go back to look, when he was coming up playing AAU and his coaches raised him, he was always raised around a team game, right? The team success. If the team is having success, he's having success. It was one game they had on national television on ESPN where LeBron had, I think it was 2 points at halftime, but he had like 9 rebounds and 8 assists. And the team was up like 15-16. And the commentator asked, like, you ain't scored enough. He said, but we winning by 17. So he was happy with that. So he was always built. He was built that way. He's a pass first guy. He's not a pure scorer, but at the same time, he's third in the NBA in points of all times. But he can get a bucket. But as far as the last shot, like we trying to justify, KD is taking that last shot between him and LeBron. But to make the right basketball play, I go with LeBron.
And that's what's important. Making the right basketball play to win the game or being the one to take the last shot.
I mean, it's a difference. I understand where you're coming from, Mr.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But so we've seen the criticism from the correct basketball play instead of shooting the ball.
Not worried about that. If it's about winning, that's what counts. If people know LeBron or KD or Steph Curry is going to have the ball in their hands, or even Dame's going to have the ball in their hands at the end of the game, and the team is expecting them to shoot it, and they make the smart basketball play by getting it to someone who's open, who's going to score and win the game, that's where it goes. Not, I'm a hero because I shot and made the ball this time, or am I a hero if I shoot it even though there's someone open in the corner, but I'm supposed to step up and take this shot and I miss.
I totally agree with
basketball play. Look, we're on our third agree to disagree tonight.
But the thing about it is, people got to come to a custom of the way LeBron James plays ball.
Man, you sound like you're trying to preach to somebody. Like who are you talking to right now? Because you're not talking to me and V.
I know.
Okay, so you're talking to your audience?
I'm talking to the audience because we got people that we got people that give
that's another show.
That's another show about the way he plays. But I'm accustomed to what LeBron does, so it don't bother me. So, but like I said, I'm going back. I'm giving the ball to Dame time, and I'm giving the ball to KD. LeBron makes the best basketball play. Now, in that All-Star game, we're going to go with the MVP, Giannis.
Hold on. V, he sounded real passionate there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Well, no, I got to break it down for some of the people. Y'all just don't understand some of the slander that K-Sap got to receive, and I just want to let the people know that, hey, it's coming from me. And I hear all the backlash. Oh, LeBron this, LeBron that. Nah, LeBron gonna do what LeBron gonna do regardless. LeBron ain't worried about what nobody think of him. He gonna continue to play the way he plays. But we're gonna go with the MVP of the All-Star game. In that All-Star game, I've never seen anybody get so many easy buckets the way Giannis in his buckets. I mean, if you look at the video clip, I mean, dunk after dunk. He had like 9 dunks, 3 threes. And the bank was open for him. So,
I'm okay with that though, K-Sap.
Me too. I'm okay with it too. I mean, he had a great game, but if you notice how Giannis plays in that All-Star game, Giannis gets a lot of dunks, man. because that inside, opens up, and that's what he does, man. So, I mean, 16 for 16, man, boy, I don't think that'll never be topped again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's the thing. He's a big dude. 16 for 16 doesn't matter whether they dunks, layups, whatever. That's still 16 for 16.
Yes.
I've seen you miss bunnies before. So
it's always
possible.
Jokester in the group.
Possible.
Hey, I understand what you're saying, K-Sap, because when I was watching it and I knew he was going to get the MVP, I kind of felt the same way that, okay, he had a lot of easy shots, a lot of dunks. The bank was open for him. He made a couple of those threes. I'm like, oh, okay, it must be his night. So I get what you're saying. They didn't seem, that he had to work for the points as much as others did. However, it is an all-star game, and as we've seen over the years, some players get hot, others players don't. He was in the right place at the right time, and it worked out for him, and you can't penalize him for being in a position where he's going to get an easy shot.
No, I didn't penalize him. I said I've never seen nobody get as many easy buckets as Giannis got in an all-star game.
Yes.
Like, I mean, it was like, I don't even think Giannis worked up a sweat. The most sweat that he worked up was when he was running around.
Yeah.
But like I said before, though, K-Sap, I'm okay with that to an extent because I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm okay with it. It's not any different than the way that they played the All-Star game 10 years ago as far as, the Olay. That's why they changed the format.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because really the previous format wasn't working any better either.
Yeah.
So, now you see guys shooting more than just layups and dunks.
It's all 3-point shots and dunks now. No range game. Not from what we saw on Sunday. I'm not going to say that would have happened if everybody was involved in the All-Star game. But from what we saw Sunday, it was a 3-point fest. And the losing team, KD's team, shot more threes than LeBron's team.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened that Curry and even Paul George got hot. Even Jaylen Brown was hot.
Yeah. Yeah, they got hot there. I'll ask y'all this on this. Something that you said earlier made me think of this. What I remember from some of the past All-Star games in the traditional format before they went to this would be obviously your first quarter, usually your highlight reels, everything was light. They were getting dunks and putting on a show for everybody. But as it went on, especially in that fourth quarter, things got very tense where you saw the defense stepped up a whole lot more. And you saw players really, to me, exhibit their true skills when you got, it's hot defense and you just had that much better offense. I remember Kobe getting his nose broke by Dean Wade, some hard fouls in other years and stuff like that. And the players really picked it up, which I enjoyed watching that, competition at its highest level with that. So what are you two, your feelings on the way the defensive intensity or lack thereof is in this version of the All-Star game, the format that we have now?
Now, it always picks up in the third quarter, and then that last quarter, since they changed it to the Kobe format, that the guys get serious. So I the first half, let them be what they got to be, but the third and fourth quarter, that's when they start locking it in.
Do you feel they have the same level of intensity as they had in years past in that fourth quarter?
Well, no. Here was the problem. The score dictated that. The score dictated the intensity during that quarter, and that was the problem with just this last game. Is had that score been close? Oh yeah. They was going at it.
But it was great. It was great and entertaining for Sunday. Everything was boggled up in one. Now let's go ahead and move on from NBA Sunday night, All-Star Sunday night. We'll get off into the Eastern Conference standings. So I'll start off with you, Mr. V. What are your surprises and your disappointments of the Eastern Conference and where they stand at midway through the season?
Disappointments, obviously, we got to start with my Washington Wizards, although they've been playing very well as of late, and I appreciate the way they look and how they're doing. I want them to keep that up going into the second half of the season. Surprises, how well the Brooklyn Nets have gelled and how James Harden has transitioned into his current position there. That, to me, that's a big surprise. I didn't think it would be as smooth as it was, as it has been with them, and he to be able to adapt to his position, and Kyrie adapt to his position and his role now, and to be able to be successful without KD there. I think that's very impressive. Also, LaMelo Ball down there, I got to give him his props. He's doing much better than I expected him to be, and it's kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, okay, this he's what they talked about. He is what he said he was, and what his dad said he was. So his dad's right on a couple things. I give him that. And that's for the Eastern Conference. Plus, I'll say this: Philadelphia being where they are, I didn't really see that. Don't follow them that much, so I didn't put too much stock into them. Again, it is still just a half mark of the season, but I've been impressed by, their consistency in the way they played. Not sure how that's going to translate into the playoffs, but at least so far, they've showed me a little something.
Okay, and R&B, your status on the Eastern Conference, the standings, any surprises, any disappointments you have?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest surprises for me, and I would have to echo what Mr. V said, is with the Wiz. I truly thought that Russ was going to be able to get them a little bit more wins than what they have achieved at this point. Looking at 1 through 8 thus far, I had the Wiz in that 8, and I didn't have Charlotte in the 8. Everything else is still working its way out. I am a little bit surprised seeing Philly at the top spot. I was probably looking for a more seasoned team like Boston to be there at this point. I thought Milwaukee last year, just jumping out with that record, thought that was a little bit of fool's gold. I never thought that they would be there. I think Brooklyn was going to be able to compete. I think it was surprising seeing James Harden go there. I'm not a fan of that recipe, so I think that story is still out. I think someone is going to be able to compete with them once we get to the playoffs, because things are going to get slower and defense is going to have to come alive, and I think that's where they lack.
Well, I totally agree with both of y'all, but I can change it up a little bit. My surprise, but I think I touched on it in one of our previous podcasts about a few certain teams, and that's going to be the Miami Heat. And I thought that the Miami Heat was benefiting from being down in the bubble. Now Miami has came along, pretty good going into the All-Star break. They didn't put their standings up there, but they struggled to get out the gate. And I just think that was one of the teams that benefited, from the bubble. And then also I'm disappointed in the Toronto Raptors. Like, I just don't know what happened to Toronto. I know Lowry been in and out of the lineup. They said his name was in the trade talks, but Pascal Siakam hasn't been playing the ball that he's capable of playing. And it seems like that's Fred VanVleet's team now. But other guys got to step up, man. And like you said, Rob, with Boston, I'm kind of disappointed in Boston as well, man, because Boston got a lineup that's, if you look on paper, man, they good. But I think what they missing is Marcus Smart. They missing he's their leader. I think Marcus Smart is the leader of the Boston Celtics. And I think when he gets back, they can make a push. And then everybody's talking about, New Jersey. Now with New Jersey, man, that's a high-powered team. But I look at it different. Now, if you notice all the games that they played, when they had all three of the big guys in there, they've lost a couple games with all three of them playing, right? Now you take away KD and he's out resting. James Harden has, fit into his role because Kyrie said, look, you're the point guard. You're going to make it happen. I'm going to play off the ball. But with them two guys out there, they playing well. And the other guys are feeding off of them, like the Joe Harrises and the Bruce Browns. Mm-hmm. Now, what's going to happen when all three of them on the court, plus they added Blake Griffin to the fray? What is going to happen then? Because, you only got one basketball. It's a lot of offense, but the defense, that's going to take away from what Joe Harris is capable of doing, because Joe Harris is their leading three-point shooter, so he's going to have to be in the game at the end. Then also, you put Blake Griffin in there. But Bruce Brown has been playing some exceptional ball since he's been inserted into their lineup without KD being there. So when KD gets back, that's when I want to see how things are going to happen with New Jersey. And like you said, Rob, when the playoffs come, that's not the recipe to win a playoff series. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting, man. They high power. They got a lot of offense, but I think their defense might be the one that's going to let them down. So we'll move on to the Western Conference, man. I'll start off with you, R&B. The Western Conference. Do you have any surprises or disappointments in the Western Conference?
Dallas Mavericks. They're the whiz of the Western Conference.
Easy.
Of the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry. And I thought at this point that they was going to have a better showing. They've let me down a little bit. Other than that, you see the Jazz, you see, the Suns up in those top tier spots. I think over the longevity of the season, I'm not looking to really be too concerned about with them staying there. I think it's a long season with a short turnaround. You know what I mean? So I think teams will start to ramp up in the next week or so.
Yeah, I mean that's total. I mean, it's going to be a big push, man, and it's the fact that the way that they're playing out in the West, and I think we touched on this in the podcast before, man. I guess we all agreed on this. The Phoenix Suns was going to be the surprise of the Western Conference. I think we all agreed on that. If we look back at the podcast we did before, we talked about the Phoenix Suns with the ability of what Chris Paul is doing for them guys and the confidence that he's displayed in Devin Booker, even DeAndre Ayton. It's a lot of guys that are out there balling. And I look at it like this. Jay Crowder. I remember when he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. He really couldn't fit into his mold, but he went down to Miami, man, and he helped Miami out big time. And I think Miami is missing them. But him coming to Phoenix, man, he's been a consistent three-point shooter for Phoenix, man. And that baffles me. And that's the same way I look at Jeff Green for New Jersey. But Mr. V, like in the Western Conference, do you have any surprises or any disappointments?
I'll echo R&B. Shout out to the Dallas Mavericks and the hometown fans in Dallas that support their team. Yeah, they're a little disappointing. Thought they'd start out a little better than they have been so far, but still got the second half of the season coming. So Dallas fans down there, Dallas Mavericks fans, that is, keep your head up. And Luka should bring some success moving forward. But just like R&B said, and you kind of mentioned earlier, Phoenix Suns, to be where they are is a little surprising that they're that high up there, but all the rest of the pieces, I know the Lakers are down right now because they had a little, hit the roller coaster bump with some injuries and a couple losses. I don't think they're worried about that as well. I think see the Clippers, will start to get it together a little bit more. And like R&B said, second half of the season, especially as it starts to progress on, that's where we'll see the pieces fall into the places where they should be. The Western Conference, to me, has always been historically accurate with that. Second half of the season, the chips laid the way they should have.
Yeah, and I guess we all agree on this one. The disappointment is the Dallas Mavericks, man. We talked about this on a podcast before about, what Luka could bring to the table. He was a front runner, the betting odds to win the MVP. But these guys are, at the bottom of the barrel, and, his numbers are great. But, I don't think he's in the MVP conversation. But the surprise to me, like we all said, was the Phoenix Suns. And also, I'll look at it like this, is what you got, R&B?
You're talking about Luka. Luka hasn't changed. Luka's doing what he's supposed to be doing. It's the cast around. It's the cast around Luka. Luka carries a lot of the burden, but Luka's balling. Luka is balling.
I took nothing away from Luka.
I'm at the point where I'm ready to blow that experiment up already. Get Porzingis out of there. Give him some help, but I don't need a 7-foot dude giving me attitude because he don't get the ball or Luka don't want to. Luka puts him in a pick and roll. He's like his attitude about. Come on,
Never
I
said
don't need
nothing about
him.
I
Get
said
him out of there.
Luka is balling, and he was the betting on favorite.
Get him some help.
Listen, to win the MVP, but they're sitting at the bottom of the barrel, and I said they don't even have him in the MVP discussion. Luka
Right. But that's all predicated on wins. His play is good enough for the NBA caliber for an MVP. All I'm saying is because of his supporting cast around him, he doesn't have the wins.
I know, but Rob,
that's it.
I never said that. I said that's the reason why he's not in the MVP discussion, because he's at the bottom of the barrel. That's all
wins.
I said.
It's all about wins. It's all
exactly.
about wins.
Taking nothing away from Luka. But
LeBron was in that conversation.
Say again.
LeBron was in that conversation. As soon as the Lakers dropped 5 straight, that he's no longer in the conversation.
Now Joel Embiid has took over the front runner, but we'll get off into that in just a second. I mean, but my disappointment, like I said, is the Dallas Mavericks. My surprise is, the Phoenix Suns. Denver. They starting to pick it up. But the Utah Jazz, everybody thinks that people are disrespecting the Utah Jazz. But the Utah Jazz remind me of the 2014 Atlanta Hawks. They got all these wins. When they get to the playoff, they got knocked out. I mean, they playing almost a similar ball the way Atlanta was playing, hitting all these threes. They moving the ball. But when it comes into the playoffs, we already know I don't think they can get past the Denver Nuggets. So, everybody's not scared of Utah, and everybody thinks people are disrespecting them. So that's what it is. And, y'all touched on the Lakers not being whole, but I think when it boils down to it, the Clippers, I've seen Paul George in these last couple games. Mm-hmm. That's Paul George that I'm used to seeing. Not showing up, not being there for his team. Get into the playoffs, that's the same thing that he does in the playoffs. So we'll go ahead and move on from that. So as we talked about the MVP, Mr. V, who is your front runner for the MVP going into the second half?
That's a tough one there, K-Sap. That's a tough one. Of course, LeBron's always in the mention for what he does. Harden and Embiid, looking at those two, I don't want to echo what most of the popular sportscasters say, but it is true with what Harden's done up in Brooklyn, with assuming that role he has, it can't be ignored, and that's without KD there. I know you have some questions on whether that can, if they're going to be as successful with KD back, especially on the defensive end, but we're talking about MVP. So you have Harden there, Joel Embiid, because they're sitting in that number one spot, because he's been playing the way many say he should be playing, as a dominant big man, inside, and he can shoot the jumper and stuff like that. At this point, because he's the team he's on, what was projected of them, the superstar power that they have, I would give the edge right now to Joel Embiid over James Harden, and I'd have LeBron, a third where he is currently now. And LeBron's doing a lot. I think he's one of those players, we've talked about it before, they get overlooked because they're so good. They bring so much to the table consistently that we kind of take that for granted. But even on the loser streak, AD's injured. He's got some key injuries out there. And, we're asking him to carry the load against some high-powered teams out there, which is a lot to ask anybody in today's NBA. But Joel Embiid, that he would get my nudge right now.
All right, Rob, who you got?
The Joker.
Say again?
The Joker.
The Joker?
Yep.
Why is that?
Why is that? I mean, they have a winning record. Okay. They're up in the standings. And his contribution to his team and his stats compared to any of those other guys is just as good.
Okay. Well, I
don't think that there's no front runner at this point. I mean, nobody's really convincing. You just have some names that's sitting up there. But when you compare stats to stats, I'm going with the Joker.
Okay. So R&B, quick question for you. Quick question. Yep. You said his numbers, the Joker's numbers, are comparative to the other players that we talked about. So if all things are equal with that, relatively equal, wouldn't the nod go to the player that's on a team with the better record then?
He's shooting 56%. He's shooting 56%.
Okay.
Okay. So, and James Harden shooting 48%. Embiid, 52. Giannis, 55. Dame Lillard, 44.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all.
He's averaging 27 points a game.
Okay. That's all within that sphere of the other players, yet their records are better. So how do you give the nod to him?
One game. You're talking about one game. They're 21 and 15. And Philly is 24 and 12.
But they're sitting at the top.
Just like I said, once again, this is the fourth time we're going to agree to disagree. So my pick, I have to agree with Mr. V, but I don't go with him 100%. I would say Joel Embiid is the front runner. I would put James Harden right there with him for what James Harden has done with that, that Brooklyn Nets team and the way he has turned them around and he has took control and putting up the numbers that he's putting up. And then also you can't forget about what Steph Curry's doing with the Golden State Warriors. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's putting up better numbers than he did when he won it unanimously.
You know, it comes with wins.
He just don't have the wins
to
back that up.
It comes with wins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't have the wins to back it up. So if you're talking about the wins, Rob, you going with the Joker. I'm going with Joel Embiid, and my second guy is James Harden. And then, it's a toss-up between the Joker and LeBron. So that's where I stand at.
Okay. I'm gonna give you that. I give you that.
You give me that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that. I mean, I think, the thing with LeBron, he's always going to be in the conversation. I think right now, what is not helping him is not having a full staff, because I think if they did have a full staff, would be looking really good for him right now. But second half, we'll see how it pans out.
Cool. And that's respectable. And, I'm glad that you guys tuned in. And, that's our NBA midseason recap, with Mr. V and R&B. And, this is what we like to do. So if you guys got any questions, any comments, man, y'all get with us. Send it through, and I'll get back to y'all as soon as possible. Give us something y'all want to hear on our next show. But we would like all your feedback. And once again, I would like for y'all to say, tell a friend about the podcast. Go on that simplyballDropping.com website, and you can cop your merch. You see R&B displayed that Dallas Cowboy merch. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody out there in Maryland, I got the Maryland logo, SBD. So, hey, I got it all for you. Just come rock with your boy. And once again, I'd like to appreciate all your guys that tuned in. Once again, that'll wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. My co-host, R&B. My other co-host, Mr. V. And we'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Deuces.